What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Uh, let me say this before I begin this video. I had to block another clown off my video about Donald Trump because, like I said going into the video, I knew I was going to get this. I'm probably going to get some more than I have to block. As I said, I try to be fair in those political videos, but every now and then you get people who are ignorant with low IQs, who don't listen or just refuse to listen to videos. And that's what I had. Even though I've said time and time again, I don't support either party. The minute you criticize a candidate that they like, in particular, I'm starting to notice with Trump fans, they attack you. They don't defend their candidate because they know it's indefensible what you're accusing the candidate of doing. So they do personal attacks on you. We see this in the sports world. And, at this point, I don't engage with these people. I just block them. I block them and they don't exist to me because they're low IQ scum whose, current girlfriends I probably have fornicated with. And we laughed about how less of a man you are. But anyway, than I am. But anyway, where it counts. Anyway, let's talk about Matthew Perry. So last October 28th, when Matthew Perry was found deceased in his hot tub in his home, and I believe it was Los Angeles. So, yes, because Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's one did his toxicology report. So Matthew Perry, of course, was a beloved star, most notably of television, in particular the Friends series when he played Chandler. I forgot Chandler's last name, I know his name's Chandler. Friends was one of the most popular sitcoms of the 90s, probably maybe second or third only to Seinfeld and ER. At the time period it was running, I think the last episode was watched by some 54 million people back in the early 2000s. But Matthew Perry was also known for his drug addiction, in particular his addiction to prescription pain medications. And he had a book that came out a few years ago where he talked about how he almost died of what was a perforated bowel. I think I remember reading about it. But anyway, this saddened a lot of people when Matthew Perry died. It saddened a lot of people. He was just 54 years old. And as is the case when a beloved celebrity dies in a manner in which it wasn't natural, usually overdose or when they're addicts, people look for someone to blame. Same thing to a lesser extent happened with Anne H. Someone has to pay for this. Michael Jackson, Prince, especially Michael Jackson. Someone has to pay for this. And, it's my opinion that while people associated with these individuals, entertainers, while they are culpable of certain crimes, I don't look at these people as victims. Okay? Physicians, individuals who might not be physicians but have a high grade of knowledge on this particular substance, or assistants who don't want to lose their jobs, their perks, to stay in good graces with the person who they're working for. While these aren't excuses and they still are criminally or civilly at least liable, I still don't look at these people, Matthew Perry, Michael Jackson, Prince, Anne H., whoever, even Michael K. Williams. They're not victims. Okay? They chose to continue to use these substances knowing the risk. And I get the argument of addiction. I know all about addiction. I know people who have addictions to drugs. Okay, or have known people who had addictions to drugs. There's people who have addictions or have dealt with addictions in different other fronts. Food addiction is for one. That is a chemical addiction. So while it is sympathetic, and I don't look at Matthew Perry or looked at him as a bad person, I don't look at him as a victim. I have sympathy and empathy for him, absolutely. And I don't like when people castigate these people as criminals. You know what I mean? Um, Crack addicts, the same thing. But see, we don't see the same sympathy for people who are hooked on crack, which is a far more addictive substance. Heroin, far more addictive than a lot of these other prescription drugs. Although a lot of these prescription drugs are extremely addictive. You know, oxycodone, a lot of these things are very addictive. Percocets, very, 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 very addictive. Uh, so I sympathize, but I don't look at these people as victims. So anyway, prosecutors on Thursday charged 5 people in connection with the death of the actor who was found in the hot tub of his Palisades home. Okay, so it's Pacific Palisades he lived on October 28th. Isn't that still considered part of Los Angeles County Metro? Well, whatever. Trace amounts of ketamine, which is sometimes used to treat depression, were found in his stomach, according to the LA County Medical Examiner. But the levels found in his blood were about the same as would be used during general anesthesia, his autopsy showed. Federal prosecutors alleged that Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, worked with 2 doctors, Mark Chavez and Salvador Plasencia, and drug dealers Yasveen Sanga and Eric Fleming to obtain thousands of dollars worth of ketamine for the actor who had long struggled with addiction. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said at a news conference that the defendants, quote, took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction to enrich themselves. And I'm pretty sure they did do that. But couldn't the argument be made that the pharmaceutical industry in itself is guilty of the same thing? That they price gouge medications that they know have addictive qualities on purpose so they can profit off of these medications. Don't doctors overprescribe medications? I mean, I get it. They weren't administering these medications at a hospital, which is where it should have been properly done instead of at his home, in his car. It kind of reminds me of the same thing that was going on with Elvis Presley and the Memphis Mafia that were at his beckon. Not the actual Memphis Mafia, but the Memphis Mafia is the nickname of the group that was his guys. They and he had doctors that injected him with medication. Today, ironically, is the what is it? The 47th anniversary of his death. I just did a community post about that. So that kind of reminds me of this. So at the end of the day, doctors overprescribe medications to enrich themselves. So I see a lot of hypocrisy here. So look, basically, he had people, doctors and flunkies and assistants, inject him with ketamine, which is used as an anesthetic, but is also used to treat people who have depression, but it has certain euphoric and dissociative effects. Basically, it gets you high, okay? But there was a warning sign for this because one time when his assistant, who I believe is the fellow named Kenneth Awamasa, ejected Matthew and he froze up. And I think he had some issues breathing, but it cleared. This was a month before he died. So at the end of the day, what apparently seems to me is that they said that this thing, it taxes the heart. Okay? and it slows down your breathing, which to me sounds like a legal version of a speedball, which is what killed Chris Farley. I don't know if the effects of it are dramatic as a speedball, but that's basically what the speedball does: a mixture of morphine and cocaine. Well, morphine is, I think, the breakdown product in heroin, but it's like a heroin and cocaine overdose. The morphine slows down your breathing, the cocaine speeds up your heart. Now, it was much more of a dramatic effect with Chris Farley, who had considerable heart disease. But it says here, Matthew Perry had coronary artery disease. I don't know how. I don't think it was severe coronary artery disease. I mean, he was playing pickleball and stuff, so it wasn't that pronounced. But he did probably have some narrowing in his coronary. I believe he did. He had narrowing in his coronary arteries, and so you're giving him something that's probably constricting his arteries, working his heart too fast. Then he can't breathe very well. I'm assuming he had pretty much something like a heart attack. He was also taking, how do you pronounce this? Buprenorphine, buprenorphine, buprenorphine. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, it's a medication used to treat opiate use disorder. So look, man, this also means that Matthew Perry was lying to everybody when he said that he had overcome his addiction to prescription medication. He was lying to people. So he still had an issue with using. So he went on programs months before his death, like Real Time, and was selling this book and giving this perception that he had overcome all these things, and he still was dealing with it. Like I said, I have sympathy for him. I'm not trying to demonize him, but I'm not going to sit here and make him out to be this innocent victim. No, I can't do that. And the reason why I can't do that is because society doesn't do that with everybody. I'm not making this a racial issue. There are people out there right now who are addicted to opioids, and society looks down on them. There are people who are addicted to all types of substances, and society judges them. But they don't have $10 million in the bank. They're not movie star famous. They don't have a legion of fan base that don't think that they can do no wrong. And any criticism of them or anything done bad to them is a personal affront to them personally. And by the way, I think that they're just taking this case because it's popular. I wouldn't be surprised if the district attorney that's taking this case is looking at his own career and might have some political career aspirations down the line himself. So look, like I said, I'm not saying these people don't belong in prison or deserve some culpability with this, but Matthew Perry knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. And addiction is terrible. It is. But nobody, you know what I'm saying? Matthew Perry created this situation himself. He created this. And we see this all the time. All the time with celebrities who, Philip Seymour Hoffman's another person. Now with Philip Seymour Hoffman, I've read something very tragic. I read that it's possible that a horrible film review may have led to his relapse, but ultimately killed him 10 years ago. So that's horrible. But end of the day, that's how I feel, man. You know, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but I just don't see him as a victim. But tell me what you guys think.